Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Galini.
Hey, Dr. Jeff, how you doing? I know we probably have a little feedback, but it usually levels off after a couple seconds of you and I talking. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, Carl. How about you?
Yes, very good. So Thanksgiving is upon us. I got to ask you, first of all, when you were competing, how did you look at Thanksgiving? Did you look at it as a day that may derail what you were doing, or did you look at it as a day where you could actually leverage this into building more muscle?
You know, if it was off season, I really didn't have one. You know, I ate strict all the time. So when I was in California, you know, Thanksgiving, you know, we had turkey. I didn't really eat anything else other than, you know, turkey, potatoes, and yam. So basically what I always ate. If it happened to fall during contest time, no, I never wavered. There was no such thing as a cheat day. I mean, I stayed strict and true to my schedule.
So how did that affect you when you would get together with family? Well, you were out in California, so did you get together with family often? And when you did, didn't they go, come on, loosen up, eat something?
You know, only one time. The first year I went out to California, and I was getting ready for the LA show, which was, I think, maybe February, March. And my grandma, you know, she heard from my dad that I ate a lot of tuna fish. So she made me spaghetti. Instead of putting sausage and chicken, she put tuna in it, and it was quite delicious.
How sweet.
But the problem is she made about 2 pounds of pasta, and you know how Italians are? I had to eat the whole thing.
Yeah.
I had to, and I mean, I was so stuffed.
I bet.
I just didn't eat the rest of the day.
But wasn't that sweet of her to even think to do that? Because a lot of times they'd say, hey, look, you eat what I cook. I'm not cooking something special for you.
No, she was a very sweet lady and a great cook. But I always remember that because I took my brother with him because I knew what was going to happen. So he did help me polish off some of that.
So what are some of the muscle building foods that you used during your career?
You know, this is one of the things that more recently, I think since we started talking about, you know, my past, comments, questions have come in, you know, through Facebook and what have you about what did I used to do. Matter of fact, somebody today said, hey, some old school bodybuilder told me about a low fat protein diet. You know, what do you think? So for me, that's what I did. You know, my protein choices, I always went low fat, meaning, you know, chicken breast. I never even ate dark meat of the chicken. Skin off. Always barbecued it. I didn't eat a whole lot of turkey because it just wasn't convenient. It was easy to, you know, buy chicken breast. They were cheaper at that time. And then contest time, I ate a lot of fish, but I only ate whitefish, Carl. I really stayed away from, you know, even those good fats back then. So most of it was chicken. And then, of course, tuna fish out of the can was the most convenient way to always have protein on the go. We didn't have very good protein shakes back then, and I hadn't developed anything yet. So what was available was that nasty old milk and egg, or just pure egg white, and I really had trouble choking that stuff down.
Yeah. And actually, the carbohydrate choices I want to talk to you about, and we actually just got a question at the Ask the Scientist inbox. I don't know if you saw this one. It just literally came in a little while ago from Georgia Barra, who was asking about lean protein and fruits. He says, I've always been told to stay away from fruits. Are you familiar with this concept? A lot of the old-time bodybuilders recommended staying away from fruit. He said, I had a diet question. I was recommended an old-school bodybuilding diet of lean protein and fruits. I've always been told to stay away from fruits. Are you familiar with this diet? What do you think about fruits?
Yeah, and actually, I did comment to him when I saw that right before the show. back then, I didn't have a problem with fruits. If it wasn't the 16-week diet, it was a diet, off-season diet. I love bananas. I'd go over to the grocery warehouse, and the guys there would give me a big old box of those ripe bananas, and I'd stick them in drinks, freeze them, do all type of things. But even on a diet, I would always have, a banana in the morning on my sourdough bread before I went to the gym. Mm-hmm. When I went low carbs, which was no carbs that last week, I would eat 4 green apples a day.
Yeah.
And, being in California, there was lots of great fruit. So, I'm an advocate of fruit. I don't know why somebody, an old-time bodybuilder would recommend no carbs, or why this gentleman would have gotten the concept that fruits are not good for you. They are great for you.
You say sourdough bread. There's evidence that sourdough, the process of adding the enzymes that create the sourdough bread actually breaks down the gluten. And for people who are gluten intolerant, a real sourdough bread, most sourdough bread is not real sourdough bread made in the traditional sense. There's a place in California called Bowden's, Boudin, and they used to make the San Francisco sourdough rolls that they would ship to restaurants all over the country. To make sourdough bread, it takes a lot longer than the commercialized version of it. But if you can get your hands on real sourdough bread and you are gluten intolerant, you may find that you can eat bread again.
Yeah, and if you are in California, I know I know they closed, but we used to have a place down in Venice called the Boulangerie.
Yeah, the Boulangerie. Yeah, I remember it. I remember.
Man. I mean, nothing better than, going to and again, I did this all the way up to 1 week out. I mean, and, a slice of bread to me was as biggest loaf I could find. and when you got down to the end, it took 2 pieces to make one, but I would slice those up, toast it, and then I would mash the banana on it. But again, I love that all the way through diet. Every diet I ever was on, I always ate sourdough bread. I never got rid of that.
So what were your other carbohydrate sources when you were looking to build muscle, add muscle?
When I was building muscle, I kept my carbohydrates very, very high. I had periods where I would take in as much as 10,000 calories a day. And back then, that was a lot of calories. Now, a lot of the big guys probably take in more. But I didn't overdo the protein. So my carbohydrates, I love bread. So sourdough bread was one way that I would get in calories, whether it was, a small little bun, a roll. I also like, the homemade big muffins that they used to make down there. But I would get it from, potatoes, yams, pasta, and rice. That was kind of my main array, which is primarily, all the complex carbohydrate choices. I didn't worry so much about, whole wheat all the time and no white rice because, we had a lot of sushi places and Japanese places. So I was fine, using white rice. It was a little more convenient back then because they didn't have instant brown rice, but you could get instant white rice.
What would you have when you went to sushi bars? Just curious.
Sushi bar, off season, I would have a Saturday, which was my cheat night. And normally we would go to a sushi bar. That would kind of be my cheat, where I would have, some deep fried crab on the sushi or something. But
the spider roll. You mean the soft shell crab, right?
Yeah, the soft shell crab.
Oh man, they're the best. Yeah.
Again, if I was on a diet, if I was in that diet mode, I would not go out to eat unless it were to a salad bar because I ate tons and tons of salad. So wherever I could get an all-I-can-eat salad bar, I would take in a can of tuna. I would buy a baked potato and I would kill their salad bar.
That's funny.
Other than that, I didn't eat out during that 16-week mark. So mostly the sushi was, kind of off season on a Saturday or something. But I liked everything. I liked, tuna, salmon were probably my favorite.
So back then, it was thought that carbohydrate consumption was muscle sparing and protein sparing, meaning that if you were eating a very, very high protein, very, very low carbohydrate diet, a lot of the protein would be sacrificed for energy production and not necessarily be used to build muscle. So back then it was thought that you needed to eat a lot of carbs to build muscle. Do you still feel that way today?
I do. I mean, as the years have gone on and, I've gotten a little bit older, I still follow that lower fat diet, from protein sources. And I still think that, people who are trying to lose weight, who cut out their carbohydrates, again, the whole idea behind what I learned on bodybuilding was what I did in the off season was essentially what I did during contest time. I just upped my cardiovascular. Back then we called it aerobics. And, cut out dairy and started to cut out things as I got closer. But I'm still a fan of carbohydrates. I think you got to have carbs to fuel your body, to fuel your muscles. Carbs is the kindling that metabolizes fat. Mm-hmm. I think if you watch those, butters and saturated fats and trans fats, you're going to be able to get your body to metabolize body fat. There was even a period of time where I think I went about 2 or 3 years where I ate no red meat. And I grew and I did fine. I then did incorporate red meat back in later in the years because I was getting more used to cardio and I was keeping my body fat within a more easier range. I wasn't, getting extremely heavy and having to come down. I was trying to stay within about 15 pounds.
Right. Why the red meat? What was the assumption that the red meat was putting fat on you because it was fat? There was a lot of fat in it.
I think I just went through that period where, I would pull out my nutrition almanac and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to not eat any fats. I don't need them. I'm trying to stay leaner. I only did like one show a year, but, if someone called you to guest pose, I was the kind of guy that I was not going to do anything looking out of shape like a lot of guys did.
Right.
They didn't care. They figured, I'm so-and-so, so who cares if I go guest pose fat? Not me.
Right.
If I'm going to take my shirt off and somebody's going to pay me, I'm going to look good. So I got to the point where, I could be within 3 weeks to 4 weeks of being able to get on stage and looking well.
Right.
So I thought by, again, leaving those fats out, eating those lean, chicken and fish, that I would be able to maintain my body fat percent. But I think it got to where, as I started talking to some of the other guys who were starting to incorporate red meat, into their diet, we started with like burger night, where one night a week we'd go have a burger someplace. But I still only ate it maybe once a week.
Right.
It wasn't like it was a daily thing.
Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, let's talk about the fat sources that you did favor. And then let's talk about calories, because there's a lot of people out there who think that calories don't count. You don't need to count them. It doesn't mean anything. So we're going to get Dr. Jeff's opinion on that when we come back. This is Science for Humans. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Do you know how to properly use carbohydrates to ignite your performance in the field and in the gym? You will now, thanks to this free book by EFX Sports. The Carb User's Guide for Maximum Performance reveals why omitting carbohydrates from your diet can totally crush your gains. Ever wonder how many grams you need for your specific sport? Not anymore. We give you the critical number you need to dominate your competition. You'll even discover the super carb that's taking the athletic world by storm. You must try it to believe it. Go to getcarbolin.com/carb guide today and get your copy absolutely free. Once again, it's getkarbolin.com/CARBGUIDE.
If you're a fitness athlete, busy professional, or just looking for a better way to eat hot meals on the run, you need to hop over to hotlogicmini.com right now and check out the coolest portable mini oven on the planet. It's about the size of a lunchbox. It cooks, reheats, and keeps food hot all day without overcooking or drying it out. Plug it in and forget it. There are no buttons or dials or timers to worry about. It's genius. Eat a hot meal anywhere you go. Work, car, hotel room, anywhere. Get over to hotlogicmini.com right now to save 20% off the regular price with coupon code SHR. That's hotlogicmini.com and coupon code SHR.
Hey, this is Carl. Start your day just like I do with a high-dose lipospheric vitamin C from Live On Labs. You too can benefit from Live On Labs' lipospheric delivery system. No more pills or powders. That's outdated technology. Live On Labs has the world's most efficient vitamin delivery system, period. Learn a lot more today at liveonlabs.com and benefit from their new reduced pricing.
That's livonlabs.com, Livon labs.com.
The category killer is back. Mass Pro Synthogen, with results literally from workout one. You'll recover like you're a teenager again. If you've been pouring your heart out in the gym with little to nothing to show for it, you owe it to yourself to see the performance-enhancing and cosmetic effects it can make almost immediately. One user said, I wish I could have tried it sooner. I just ordered 2 more bottles. And another, the overall single best bodybuilding supplement I have personally ever used. Visit CoachRobRegas.com or PredatorNutrition.com to learn more today. Mass Pro Synthogen. When you train with it, you'll gain with it.
The health and performance benefits of phytonutrients are indisputable, but getting all of your phytonutrients from your diet is difficult. That's why Prime Nutrition introduced PhytoForm. PhytoForm has nearly 11 grams of all the micronized veggies, fruits, fiber, minerals, and antioxidants you need. Alfalfa, organic spirulina, and chlorella, plus acai, pomegranate, goji, bilberry, blueberry, raspberry, cranberry, and papaya. Cabbage, spinach, broccoli, beet, the list goes on and on. You won't find a better, more complete fruits and greens blend anywhere. It even includes PQQ, which has been shown to improve mitochondrial biogenesis. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the Prime Nutrition banner ad today and use coupon code SHR to save 30% off. Prime Nutrition, the best or nothing. The secret word is pumpkin. Email that in to onair@superhumanradio.com to be entered for this week's secret word contest. And good luck.
Never before has an anti-estrogen been so powerful. The triazole formula is built on a potent all-natural aromatase inhibitor called Pizole, which has been shown in clinical trial to be as effective as a leading prescription aromatase inhibitor. Pizole works in concert with the rest of the triazole formula to control estrogen while simultaneously boosting testosterone significantly. In fact, one of triazole's testers had a 120% increase in total testosterone and a 257% increase in free testosterone. Triazole is available at bodybuilding.com, nutriplanet.com, or where finer supplements are sold. For more information, check out getds.com. There are a few products that I believe in the way I believe in Can-C eye drops. I've been using Can-C for 6 months now, and the changes in my vision are nothing short of amazing. My near vision has improved, and I can read small print from 8 inches. My overall vision is clearer, and the glare from oncoming headlights doesn't bother me any longer. Just 1 to 2 drops a day, and the results are visible. You can find Can-C eye drops at wisechoicemedicine.net or call 800-861-4936. That's 800-861-4936. wisechoicemedicine.net. Can-C eye drops. The name says it all.
You're listening to the Superhuman Channel. We're ripped and we're ready.
Are you ready? Welcome back to Science for Humans. Hey, how would you like to win a $1,000 shopping spree at ThriveMarket.com? Go to superhumanradio.com and click the ThriveMarket.com banner ad to enter. And not only will you be entered to win a $1,000 shopping spree, but you will also get your first month's free membership and 15% of your first order if you decide to order. Go check it out, ThriveMarket.com. So, Dr. Jeff, when you did eat fat, which you had to eat some fat, what were your fat sources of choice?
You know, I didn't. There was 2 things that I was really anal about: fat and sugar. I would not eat anything, a salad dressing, if it had the word sugar. And the same with fat. I mean, I think, you know, the only place I did get my fat from was what was in chicken or fish. Mm-hmm. You know, I didn't eat nuts. I didn't add olive oil. I mean, again, I was really, really strict. That's just kind of how my brain was programmed. There were some periods in the off season where, you know, I always ate a dozen egg whites as my first protein meal. Mm-hmm. So when I was really on some gaining cycles, I would add like maybe 2 or 3 yolks. But really, Carl, that was probably the extent of my fat.
Well, and I know a lot of people are going to go, oh, you know, that we know that that's wrong. But I think that I can't argue with your conditioning. When I look at pictures of you back then, I mean, you were super muscular. You were ripped to shreds. How tall and how heavy were you at your heaviest? I'm talking about ripped.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I was 6 foot, and back then I was too big. You know, that was the problem, is they were looking for that thin waist, that beautiful symmetry look, that great poser. I was more like the guys now, but I competed at about, you know, anywhere from 235 to 242, which back then was big, considering most of the heavyweights were just over 200 pounds.
Right.
But no, conditioning and muscle was something I always had. You'll never see one picture of me that I wasn't ripped. So I know people do argue about that fats are good, and I do agree. But at the same token, you know, It didn't hurt me. You know, I didn't have joint pains. I still don't have joint pains.
Right.
You know, and I think, you know, as you look at, you know, what kind of fats, you know, things like olive oil, we know in moderations are good. You know, I love nuts, as you do.
Yeah.
You know, that's where I get my primary source of fats right now are from nuts. But again, I think if I were to do it all over again, I would probably do it the same way.
Yeah, it worked for you. That's undeniable.
It worked, and I ate plenty. You know, we're talking about calories. You know, my very first trip to California, the first show was the only time that I really lowered my calories so low that I lost so much muscle. After that, you know, I dieted at more calories than most people ate during the off season because I forced my body to eat during the off season, and I did cardio. You know, I had a period where I would run. I did 5Ks, 10Ks, you know, stationary bike. I was not afraid of. I wasn't afraid of walking. So, you know, I would do a couple, 2-3 hours a day, but I would diet at, you know, 4,000 calories.
Right.
I mean, you know.
Right. What about calories? You know, there's you know the common wisdom today is don't worry about the calories. It's more important what you're eating. A calorie is not a calorie, but aren't calories important? Isn't it a way to get on the map as far as how much you're consuming every single day?
Yeah, if you are a serious athlete and you are trying to gain or lose and you are not counting calories, then you are losing out. Because yes, it's important to count everything. You should be counting your carbohydrate intake daily, your protein intake, your fat intake. What I used to do is I would stagger. So if I wanted my average caloric intake to be 3,000, one day I would do 2,000. The next day I would do 4,000. So it would average at 3,000. So I was always shocking my body. So again, you know, I would plan my meal plan out by how much protein I needed, where my fat needed to be, which was minute, and the rest would be made up of carbohydrates. And when my day went lower, I would not adjust the protein. I would only adjust the carbohydrates. So again, if you're not counting calories, that's why so many people today, maybe not top professionals, but most amateurs, they wonder why they can't get hard or why they can't get ripped or why they can't get rid of their body fat because they have no idea how many calories. I mean, they're just kind of shooting in the dark, Carl.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I mean, you know, Dr. Scott Connolly, I produced a radio show for him way back called Body RX, and he was a firm believer that calories are important because it's a way of measuring and then taking into account the macronutrient ratio. It all plays a role in, you know, in being able to determine how much energy you're taking in, even though the whole discussion about the bomb calorimeter is wrong. And he was the first one to say that, you know, look, we're not a combustion engine. We're not burning things that way. We are metabolically different than a bomb calorimeter, but you still need calories so that you have a way of measuring things.
Absolutely. And the other thing I did is I kept a notebook. I don't know if it was, you know, Tim Belknap or Fred Hatfield, Frank Zane, you know, somebody when I moved out there said, you need to keep a notebook because you will find, you know, things that you did in this contest that you'll want to adjust for the next one. And if you don't have a record, you're just winging it.
Right.
So, I mean, I charted everything. I didn't chart my training because my training was my training, but I charted everything that I ate, the time of day. Everything was calculated. So I knew exactly how many calories per meal, especially, you know, when I was on these strict diets in the evening. I needed to know if I had an extra 150 calories because I'd be starving. So I would need to know what I could do, you know, to make it through the next day. But there was even shows where I did so much cardio that I literally would start at midnight. I'd wake up. I would have, you know, 8 ounces of oatmeal. I would do 30 minutes on the bike. I'd go back to sleep, get up at 3, go for a 2-mile run, eat more carbs. I mean, you know, that show I probably ate more calories than anything because I did so much. Back then we called it aerobics, but I did so much cardio.
Right.
And I looked probably the best I had ever looked, and I was a lot heavier too.
See, and that's hard to argue with because there's people out there going, "Well, that's crazy. You should just cut your calories back." But the reality is, when you look at the finished product, you can't deny that it worked for you, and that's the bottom line. It worked for you.
You should get. I always tell guys and gals, you should be getting stronger as you get to the contest. You shouldn't be getting weaker. If you're getting weaker, you're not eating enough. I mean, I would be at my maximum strength on a diet about 3 weeks out. Wow. Now, when you start to get into that last week, that's a whole different thing, how we did things back then. But, I mean, I was still squatting heavy, deadlifting. I mean, my strength didn't really go down.
What about Thanksgiving? Right now for athletes, do you think that athletes should kind of loosen up and go, look, it's one day, eat what you want. It's not going to destroy what you're working on.
It's impossible to gain fat in one day. So I say, you know what? Enjoy it, man. Now, if you're on a contest diet, no, don't cheat, because I think cheat days on a diet open up the door for you to not be serious. But if you're in the off season and you're trying to eat healthy, man, it's good for you to go and have some fun. And even people who aren't, bodybuilders, don't stress out about the holidays. Just plan on gaining weight, but go out there and expend the calories.
That's it.
I can tell you tomorrow night, I'll be on the stationary bike, Carl.
We're going to during the next half hour, Brooks and I are going to talk about strategies for remaining within the realm of the physical culturist, but really enjoying this holiday. Because if you can't enjoy this holiday, what good is how hard you work?
That's it. I mean, I love to eat, and I use training to be able to eat more food and enjoy food. I don't worry about anything I eat. If I want to sit down and have 2 pumpkin pies, although I'm gluten-free this year, I would do it. And I've done that in the past. I will literally sit down and eat a whole pie. I don't even worry about it. I'll just go do some aerobics or cardio, later to compensate for it.
Happy Thanksgiving, Dr. Jeff.
Thank you so much. You too, Carl.
Talk to you, brother.